games. And for Morehead State, our player to watch is Jerome Morton, the sophomore from just down the road in Winchester, set a new career high with 18 points Thursday night, including the game winner with 15 seconds to go.
Kid's hit some really big shots in his career. And I say kid because, well, it seems just like yesterday we were watching him play in Rupp Arena so often, where the state championship in Kentucky is held. Member of George Rogers Clark out of Winchester.
Yeah, George Rogers Clark High School had a couple of nice runs deep in the state tournament. Jerome Morton was a key player in that.
Anwar Malouk will get it early, and he'll get the easy lay-in for Kenny White Jr.
Nice job by Anwar. He got it down on the right block, really below the block. Help had to come over, and just an easy cross-lane pass to Kenny White.
Tennessee State, early two-point answer, and you look at their head coach, Brian Penny-Collins from Belmont, so familiar with the former OVC team. 7th season as the head coach, Jonathan Maddox, in season number 1. What a thriller that was for Morehead State over UT Martin in overtime on Thursday. Both teams filling each other out. Happy to have you along. Dean Harden alongside Jared Stacy with you. Whole lot of sports today, Dean, on the television.
There's a bunch going on. Here's a man I think may be huge, and that's going to be steps called on Ogundele. He is a massive human being. He's a big young man. He's 7 feet. I think they listed him about, what, 270?
275 out of London, England. Played at the Worcester Academy there in London. Played at Iowa, played at Middle Tennessee, and we're noticing that trend ever so often here in college basketball.
Just about every day.
Kenny White Jr. loses it as he goes up, and it's going to be last off of Tennessee State. Man, these jerseys, not the easiest to see the numbers on, but that was number 2, Travis Hunter, a 6'6" guard out of Columbus, Georgia.
Yeah, just nice back tip from him. There's Deontay Miles in the game. Good to see him back in the lineup.
Saw him in those starting lineups earlier, presented by ServPro, the official restoration services partner of the Ohio Valley Conference. 2-2 early, 90 seconds in, Brazil. Long rebound corralled in. Stop, pop, nice finish. Travis Harper II, another player, previous collegiate experience at Clayton State. Leading scorer for Tennessee State. 4 players in double figures. Weston, though, with 19 leading Tennessee State, and Miles going to be fouled as he couldn't get the fingertips on it.
Ogundele was just a little too physical that time.
Ogundele looks like he could be a left guard,
Oh,
and
yeah.
a good left guard
a
at
good
that.
left guard. Maybe a tackle.
I wouldn't want to get tackled by him.
No, sir. And if I meet him, I'm going to be very polite.
I was when I walked by him baseline earlier. I said, pardon me, I'll get out of the way. Miles fouled as he goes up. I was going to say it's either going to be a block or a foul on Ogundele.
And you can see right there, Morehead State, as we get to replay their entry pass, Deontay Miles made himself available right on the block, and they went right after the big man. 2 quick fouls on Ogundele. We'll see if they keep him in. They do.
We saw some aggressive, well, coaching, if you will, by Tennessee State in the first game. They left players in foul trouble, and we saw a couple players, well, one player specifically foul out in the third quarter. But here we see Ogundele head to the bench. Miles played at Xavier, won an NIT championship at Xavier.
He's missed the last 3 ball games. Good to see him back on the court just in time for conference play.
Little up and under move that won't fall. Weston off on the shot.
Well, Morehead State better make sure they know where number 20 is and no black uniforms.
Nkrumah will pick up Brazil, and Brazil's going to get by 2 defenders. Floater over top of everybody. Dry the ball off before you inbound. That one got some moisture on it. It went so high.
Yeah, and brought rain. Jalen Brazil, really nice little floater in there amongst the trees. He's not the biggest of guys.
Friendly fire. Morehead State versus Morehead State. We'll give it to Tennessee State.
Morehead State had 4 players going after it, and the smallest of them, Jalen Brazil, came up with it. We'll see it right here, but everybody sold out and went to the glass and just on the end line.
Well, I will say there is no trouble telling these two jerseys apart, so that can't be an excuse.
I mean, it's literally black and white. Black jerseys for Tennessee State and white for Morehead State.
Not just black, it's dark blue on the numbering, red lettering, and a slam by Williams.
Really nice job by Williams. And there's a foul. There's some contact as two players ran into each other.
Boyd Copeland immediately gets in between the players, and we're going to go to a review early. I had a chance to speak with the officials earlier, Dean, and did ask, hey, if we do have a review, come over and give us an update. Well, I didn't think we'd have one less than 4 minutes in.
Yeah, it's awfully quick, and it was well up the floor. The ball was not even inbounded yet.
I was not looking on that side of the court whatsoever, Dean, so this will be my first look.
What's going on there. And looked like Tyler Brailsford just bumped with someone, and then the other player, and I can't tell who it is.
Looks like maybe Weston.
Is it Weston that gave him a shove?
That first number looked like a 2, and you can see, folks, what Dean and I are having to deal with, and everyone is.
Yeah, I mean, those are basically, they look almost purple.
And that blue is not as blue as it looks to us by the naked eye.
It's a lot flatter.
The irises in the cameras are giving more respect there. So official review, and this is not on any specific basketball play. This was away from the ball.
Well, they were just running back up the floor, getting ready to start an offensive set, and it looked like it was Brailsford just bumped into a Tennessee State player, and then another player was taking up for his buddy, and here it is again.
Weston, redshirt junior out of Brooklyn, New York, played at Seton Hall in Rhode Island.
And our monitor here courtside is a little dark, but that is Weston. He was, and I don't, like I said, Brailsford was coming across, going over to the right-hand wing from the left side, and a little bump with another player. Didn't look like there was anything nefarious in it, and Weston took exception to it.
Take a look while we have a moment, folks, at our series history. Presented by Kentucky Tourism. Plan your visit to the Bluegrass State at KentuckyTourism.com. 85 meetings now after today. Last meeting last year. Or earlier this year, should I say, last basketball schedule year. Morehead State won comfortably, nearly by 20. Last 10 been all Morehead State, but for one affair in Johnson Arena, Dean, the last few years, especially with Preston Spradlin leading the Eagles to so much success, a tough place to play.
It's been a tough place to play here for opponents to come in. And Preston, he did a really good job of, building up this program.
And the official, Boyd Copeland, technically referee 2. Referee 1, Dustin Williams. Crew chief Chris McCurry turned, and he gave a thumbs up to Dean and I, and he'll come give us an explanation. But they're calling in the third official here, Dean.
Well, and that's normal. That's common, and we'll see another. You see the players just kind of came together. One was trying to go to the left, the other was trying to go to the right. And I couldn't tell who the other Tennessee State player was because of these jerseys, but it was definitely Weston that took exception to the bump.
And if it's me, if you were saying, Jared, you're the official, which will never happen, I'm giving Weston 1 foul and we're moving on. I don't think there was anything warranting of a technical in my eye, but a flagrant foul can obviously come into the vernacular as well.
And the problem is, and I'm a little fuzzy on the verbiage of the rule book, but the problem is it was definitely intentional contact.
Yes, that's
so
where I don't know
if that cuts ice.
The officials, again, McCurry, Williams, and Copeland, they have made a decision, and they have came over and are talking.
They haven't made a decision yet. They're talking it out.
Well, I think my point would be they're done with the monitor unless they want to go back again.
Now, I mean, they've all three looked at the monitor. So what the SOP is, then you get together and say, okay, let's make sure we all agree.
And Dustin Williams will come over and talk to Dean Harden and get the explanation. So the official giving Dean the explanation, and we'll let Dean come back over. And Dean, it sounds like maybe something each way?
Yes, they have double flagrant ones. One's on Brailsford, and one is on, and let's make sure that I get the right number.
Should be Weston.
Yeah, it is Weston. So The foul's offset. They just go back to the point of an interruption, which would be an inbound here back on the end line to our left.
At the end of the day, play on, right? A couple fouls tacked to those respective players, and we have been to the review monitor. Not even to our first media, Dean, so go ahead and mark that on your bingo card.
Chris McCurry is still having a pretty lengthy conversation over there with Penny Collins. I don't know if Penny was wanting more explanation, or I don't know if he was not quite buying what Chris is selling.
Morton will bring it up the court, and Morton, he's not in the starting five, but he's been the hero of late.
Now, he's the sixth man for this ball club, and he's really starting to play extremely well.
Morton will work it to Miles. Miles backing down on Williams. Less than 10 on the shot clock. Stop, pop from Morton, the lefty. Picks up where he left off.
Really nice job by Morton. Defense was pretty good by Tennessee State that trip, but Morton finally just got down deep in the shot clock and just went and got him one.
Kenny White Jr., not bad defense at all, just a stronger finish there by Williams on the other end.
Carlos Williams just showed a really nice body strength, and he went up. There was contact there, but not a foul. Kenny Williams just walled up real nice, and Williams made a nice play.
Williams averaging just into double figures as Brailsford will go to the line for a couple free throws when we come back as Morehead State. Tennessee State tied at 6. Back in a moment here on ESPN+.
Don't miss the last-minute deals at Target. Save up to 50% off toys, up to 40% off small appliances, and up to 50% off video games. Hurry before last-minute deals are over. Happier holidays from Target.
BK melts. Wanna warm up? This sure helps. Classic bacon, shroom, and Swiss. BK melt season is tasty bliss. BK, have it your way.
No peeking.
Okay.
Open.
Over 600,000 USPS employees working in sync to ensure everything sent on its holiday ride ends with a moment of joy. The United States Postal Service.
I say what's happening, baby. Y'all all right. We ain't never stop rolling, baby.
Back here in Johnson Arena. Interesting start to this one. Neither team's hit a three-point field goal, Dean. Turnover for Morehead State, 2 for Tennessee State. Morehead State trailing by 2 with some free throws upcoming for the Eagles. Or inbound, rather, for
Pretty good shooting for both teams. Tennessee State 4 of 7, 57% from the floor. Morehead State 3 of 5, 60%. One of my keys was a battle on the glass. Tennessee State with a decisive 5-1 edge here in early going.
Santa is in the house. Sorry if your kids just heard me say that and are now going, we need to go where that is.
Well, come on down.
It's Johnson Arena, the Academic Athletic Center, campus of Morehead State University. Straight hour due east of Lexington. No comment on your driving, Dean. We know it's quicker for you. Brailsford, though, we mentioned at the line for 2. Brailsford on this Morehead State team, first year with the Eagles, and Brailsford played at Bryant. Well-traveled and a ton of experience. Just not much in a white uniform until this year.
Yeah, he's starting to round into form, and Morehead State's looking for some additional scoring. Kenny White Jr. really carried him through the early part of the schedule, and Morehead State kind of struggled to find some more points, but Tyler Brailsford's one of those guys that may be the guy to really step up.
Been tied 3 separate times as Tennessee State is fouled as they cling to a 1-point lead.
Stephen Clay just step late getting there as the ball handler rounded around the pick, and Steven was just a little tardy.
I'll let you be the judge of how I would word him of late. Spark plug.
Yeah, and he's another guy that hopefully he can provide a good spark and provide some offense as well. He played pretty well the other Thursday night too.
Top of the key, Brooks shot fake. He'll try to dump it off, and sometimes there, if you're your coach, you just want to see the player go up with it.
Yeah, I think Deontay Miles closed out a little recklessly and left him a lane open, as we'll see it right here.
I get the idea, but when you have this high, sometimes.
Give Jerome Morton some credit, though. He stood in there and he made him make the decision.
Shot clock winding down. Nukroma, give it to him.
And he's looking for a foul, too. There was a little contact there.
Tennessee State in front. Couple lead changes now, as these two teams have met early and often. Off on the three, Stephen Clay, though, hustling for the rebound.
Good decision to pull it on back out.
Pretty basic statement, but it's an obvious one, Dean. Long shots lead to long rebounds. And Kenny White Jr. is going to be fouled on that rebound.
Boy, you got to finish, though. The initial shot needed to go down. It was point-blank range. He's got to get that down.
We'll get a best seat in the house. We'll get a view.
He took a little contact, but not a ton. You just got to finish.
J.C. Brooks, we mentioned a freshman from up north, Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Calgary, one of the few hockey teams I've liked watching, the Flames in the NHL. Kenny White Jr., I think he probably is one of the most well-traveled players on the court today, and just mainly because so many interconference times now we're seeing a player transfer, and Kenny White Jr., a great example.
Was it Murray State, Tennessee Tech, last year UT Martin, and now here at Morehead State.
What if announcers did that? Next year, Dean, you're running down to Martin, Tennessee twice a week.
Negative. Unless you're providing an airplane.
I was going to say, get a PJ maybe. That'd be about it.
There we go. Well, you're making that big money.
Shoot.
We can do it.
We're getting paid for this? Won the lead for Tennessee State and make it 3, and that was a hard-earned two-point lay-in there.
And that's why you see that's evidence of why Brendan Weston is leading the conference in scoring better than 19 points a game. He can flat score it.
Tennessee State made their last 4 field goal attempts, now 6 of 9 overall as Kenny White Jr., a little bump, a little rattle. Miles can't finish. Clay, maybe he will.
Well, Deontay Miles did a lot of the work. He's going to get some credit, but he didn't get the shot to go down, but he kept after it.
Stephen Clay averaging just shy of 8 points and just shy of 3 rebounds. Expect those numbers to trickle up, especially those minutes, and we're already seeing that in the second conference game.
He's earning himself additional minutes.
Jackson.
Giving Morehead State some good depth, too. They need a little more depth.
Jackson just out of control there. Kenny White Jr. has it. He's going to Euro step past the defender and get the lay-in. Trying to take that charge was Travis Harper.
Yeah, Jackson got himself a little bit of trouble, tried to split 2 defenders, and I think he was looking for a bailout from the officials. And we talked about it Thursday. At this level, a mid-major level, the game can get, and it's called, and they let it go pretty physically on the men's side.
Way off there by Justice Jackson from Surprise, Arizona. Played at the DME Academy, a very popular school. Little dump off. Extra pass, Morton, the southpaw 3. Tigers with it in the front court. Nukroma. Around the horn. Kenny Collins, head coach of this Tiger team, as they trail by just 1 in Morehead State. Back with the basketball. Long play here without a whistle.
Yeah, it's been a long sequence, and there's plenty of players over on the far side getting ready to check in.
May have to double-check what the coach who they're getting. They've been sitting over there so long. And it may be a different player at this point.
Who am I going into?
Ooh, great play defensively there for Nukroma. That might have been a 3 for Morton. Well, it would have definitely been attempted, just a matter of if he's going to make it or not.
He was spotted up over there. Nkrumah did a pretty good job of at least making him work for it.
Rugseger in. Maluk and Brazil back in as well. Newt Wood in for the first time for Tennessee State. Richard sophomore with 6 on the shot clock, Brazil. Clay, he'll take the NBA three. And a foul on the rebound. Are they going to tack it on Anwar Maluk?
Yep.
They will, and Maluk looks stunned.
I'd like to see that again because I didn't really see a whole lot there.
Here's the miss by Clay.
I don't know. That's
looked like Maluk had his jersey being grabbed there in the front.
Maluk kind of bumped him from the back and moved him, displaced him a little, but he was also being held. I don't know if I wouldn't have just called detente on that and let him play through it.
Eagles still clinging to a 1-point lead as the offensive breaks have been applied here now both ways. Pass too high over top of Rugseger. Ends up in the hands of Tennessee State, though. Quick dump off, helter-skelter ball, and free throws. I think every player touched it in the painted area there.
I think all of them did, except for maybe Jalen Brazil, and he just couldn't get to it.
Timeout again on the floor here in Morehead. Low score. 13-12 breaks applied offensively with Morehead leading by 1 here on ESPN+.
When you're the leader in disaster cleanup and restoration, how do you make like it never even happened happen? Fire it up, Randy! By being prepared for anything! Whatever comes your way, there's a pro for that.
Serve Pro, like it never even happened.
If you want to make the most of your vacation, there's no better place than the Bluegrass State. Kentucky's 44 state parks offer abundant places to play and diverse accommodations to stay. Take a hike, float your boat, or bike the trails. Pitch a tent under the stars or settle into a lakefront lodge. Tee up for 18 holes. Then enjoy a signature meal. Plan your trip at parks.ky.gov.
Are you ready to take your money to new heights? Get a flexible high-yield checking account that lets you customize your interest rate so you can keep your finances headed in the right direction. With Elevate Checking from United Fidelity Bank, you're in control of how much you earn. You can raise your rate with a few easy steps. Get more ways to earn more with Elevate Checking and start earning 4.00% APY. Learn more at unitedfidelity.com/elevate or visit your local banking center.
Tennessee State hadn't scored in over 2.5 minutes. Morehead State, well, they've gone on a small run here to take the lead by 1. Neither team really shooting the ball well, Dean, or has the defense picked up? I'll kind of let you be the judge on that one.
D, all of the above. I really think the defensive effort is there. Honestly, this early part of this game is very reminiscent to me of Morehead State's game Thursday night here against UT Martin. It started out, defensive intensity was really ratcheted up pretty high from the get-go in that ball game, and slow start offensively, and it was kind of a low-scoring game for an overtime game. Hello, St. Nick.
Well,
you know, 70-69 in overtime. That's pretty low scoring.
Well, with Santa here, we've already seen a flagrant foul be assessed to Morehead State's Brailsford and Brandon Weston for Tennessee State. Is it possible this late in the year to get on the naughty list?
Yeah, sure.
Well, Santa is in the house.
There's no dead period for that. It's not like the transfer portal. Yeah, you can always get on the list.
On a serious note, though, do wish everyone watching a happy holidays.
Last game before Christmas.
Yep. Merry Christmas. Whatever you elect to celebrate, or if you elect to celebrate nothing at all, hope you have a safe rest of your winter. Happy to have you along, Dean Harn, alongside Jared Stacy with you. Tennessee State can't buy a point, Dean. My goodness.
The lid's on right now, and Brandon Weston's a good free throw shooter, 84%. And just every once in a while we see it from time to time. Ball just won't go down.
Going to be hard for the Morehead State UT Martin game to be lived up to by this Tennessee State Morehead State game, but we're tied almost midway through half number one, 13-13. Rugseger fooled 3 players on the pass.
Was a really good job by Wood over there because Stephen Clay was spotted up and he shot the passing lane and denied it.
That zone defense gets spread out enough for Marshall to take the shot, and Miles is going to pick up the foul down low on the rebound.
Yeah, Deontay Miles was just trying to poke that ball 3 and just hit him across the arm. Might have even got him on the head. And we'll see it right here. Pretty good block out.
I think I mentioned it last game, but was watching a documentary on the NIT, and just out of nowhere there was Deontay Miles, and, well, can't forget that championship he won up at Xavier. Tough shot. Missed by Williams. Miles rebounding the Eagles into the front court.
Where he stayed on this. Now Horns action trying to get everything organized.
Rudseger from outside. Tough night from behind the arc against UT Martin. Jump ball, it'll give it to Tennessee State on the alternating arrow. Morehead State hasn't scored in over 2 minutes. They've missed their last 4 shots. And Tennessee State, they have not made a field goal in nearly 4. Not really pretty stats to give of the last 4 or 5 minutes or so, Dean.
No, the game's getting a little choppy. Just, you know, good defensive effort, and I think there's been a lot of contested shots taken, and several of these shots been taken into a lot of traffic down low, too. Now Trent Scott coming into the ball game. He's going to draw the assignment on Brandon Weston.
Trent Scott sporting number 11, as Dean mentioned, in as we see more substitutions come in both ways. And this is going to be one of those hook and holds, maybe?
No, I mean, they're going to call the foul on Stephen Clay, but the offensive player, he really hooked him as he was trying to turn the corner. We'll watch it here.
Oh, there's the jersey pull.
But that's not what was called. What was called was right here. And Chris McCurry was the official down on the baseline. He couldn't see the hook because he was screened off by the body. But, you know, probably should have gotten a foul on Stephen Clay way before that.
Well, Brazil won't want to see that net play on film as Wood just really fooled everybody, but mainly Brazil, and gets the easy lay in the inbounder.
Nice little inbounds play. Morehead State worked on defending that yesterday a little bit.
Zone defense still from Tennessee State as we see Brazil fire the 3.
Not a bad shot. He was wide open, just couldn't get it to go down.
Weston, we mentioned, he was a Blue Deacon at Seton Hall, also played at Rhode Island. And the spin move and the finish not there. Offensive rebound. And a couple free throws upcoming for Brandon Weston. Weston really stays with the play here and will earn his trip to the line.
Yeah, Deontay Miles was trying just to wall up and be solid. He just got his arms caught up, tangled up with Weston. He's going to have to go to the bench. That's his second foul.
Keep in mind, Weston has a flagrant foul, so does Brailsford. Clay and Miles with 2 fouls apiece. Ogundele with 2 for Tennessee State.
And he got 2 quick ones. He's been out for a while.
Yeah, Josh Ogundele went out, 3 minutes in probably? It was very, very quick, as Dean alluded to.
Yeah, he's played 2 minutes officially. A lane violation on Tennessee State. Nope. Yeah, lane violation on Tennessee State.
Guilty party was Williams, Carlos Williams. Penny Collins wanting an explanation.
Yeah, I don't think Penny was real thrilled with Dustin Williams on that call.
Brazil trying to feed inside somehow. It gets into the palms of Carvey, I beg your pardon.
Pretty good block. I couldn't tell who it was.
I couldn't either, and that's what I was waiting to see this right here for. Good baseline shot. How did that pass get through?
Came from the back. And with these jerseys, you can't see numbers on our monitors.
And I've got good vision.
and I don't. So
George Marshall, little up and under. Was that maybe a pass over to Carvey?
No, that was a shot.
I was trying to maybe bail him out there.
No.
Carvey couldn't corral
Sorry,
it and
George,
get it
no.
in. Wood, who's came in with solid minutes off the bench, especially defensively. Now over opposite side, right in front of that Morehead bench.
Boy, it's a nice move by Williams, just couldn't get it to go down. And it was Carlos Williams who had that big block on the other end from the back.
Williams also off the bench with significant minutes, played at Tulsa. Scott was open for a second. They try to work it to Carvey, and a foul called as the basketball scampered away from the tussle.
We're going to get Corey Carvey with the foul right there. You see, pretty good job of knocking that entry pass free by Brooks. And then we'll walk to the other end for some free throws.
Both teams already in a little bit of foul trouble. 5 called against Tennessee State, 8 against Morehead, so the 1+1 upcoming for Tennessee State's Brandon Weston. Morehead State has not made a field goal since the 13:27 mark of this first half. Front end good by Winston.
Yeah, Morehead State's very lucky just to be down 4 at this point. They're 0 of their last 7, 2 of their last 13.
Nobody's made a 3 yet.
Hitting 28%.
Teams combined from 3, 0 of 11.
Yeah, Morehead State's, neither one of these clubs very good from behind the arc. Morehead State's hitting 31% from out there on the season. Tennessee State just 28.
Carvey off to Morton.
I don't expect to see a whole lot of launching from outside except with a very select few. That's
Steal.
a lazy pass.
Going the other way with it for Tennessee State through a little bit of contact. Travis Harper, 6'6" junior, stealing a bucket. Largest lead of the ball game for Tennessee State. The train has stopped on the rails on the Morehead State offense as Morton uses the very top of that glass, and the bank's open past noon here in Johnson Arena.
Had to get it up and over the much taller defender for Tennessee State and using the glass from straight away.
We've seen that twice now, a floater on each end that, well, high arcing.
Wow.
Backdoor cut by Brooks.
Weston had a really nice look, and he gave a pass right to Brooks and went right through his hands.
Morehead State finally breaks the scoring drought. Tennessee State still leads by 5 here on ESPN+.
BK Melts, wanna warm up? This sure helps. Classic bacon, shroom, and Swiss. BK Melt season is tasty bliss. BK, have it your way.
Well, put me on the naughty list. This has never happened before. Let's see. And that, people, is why we have Target Circle 360.
Hey, dear! Don't miss anything on your list with unlimited same-day delivery.
I say what's happening, baby. Y'all all right.
We ain't never stop rolling, baby.
No peeking.
Okay.
Open.
Over 600,000 USPS employees working in sync to ensure everything sent on its holiday ride ends with a moment of joy. The United States Postal Service.
They call me Prospects. Since the day I was born as a diver's watch, the challengers of the world have taught me many things. Life is not a numbers game. It's about challenging ourselves. It's not about beating the competition. It's about beating our own limits. These pioneers drive our generation forward. Not by setting records, but by never giving up. Keep going forward. Prospects.
Tennessee State and Coach Penny Collins breaking their huddle. They probably feel like they should lead by more right now. Morehead State's only made one bucket in the last roughly 5 minutes of game time.
We've had 5 turnovers, which is it's a little much for at this point. That's hampered them a little bit.
Morehead State with just 3, and they still trail.
Tennessee State's switched to a 2-3 zone now.
Saw this earlier in the game as Carvey, nice patience down low.
And a nice feed by Jerome Morton. He split the 2 defenders up top. Then it was a 2-on-1 with the man in the middle, Wood, or Brooks rather.
Morehead State now 7 of 20 from the field. The answer not there for Tennessee State and Brandon Weston.
Corey Carvey, 2 good plays, one on either end. That time he boxed off very well and then went up and claimed that board.
Morton will work it to Kenny White Jr. Goes straight up with it. Great defense, just a better shot.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with the defense. J.C. Brooks, he just walled up and made Kenny White Jr. make a good shot, and Kenny cashed it in.
Pass
size
inside.
mismatch there.
That's Williams on Ruckseger, and he takes advantage.
And was looking over across the way at Morehead State bench, and what they were trying to get was somebody to come from the top and double down and get it out of the post. Morehead State didn't really take it, or didn't really react to where the basketball was.
Ruckseger will get set, tumbles to the floor after the shot, but it's cleaned up and finished by Carvey. I was blocked, Dean. Couldn't tell what occurred, but heard the smack down to the hardwood.
Yeah, Ruckseger hit the deck. I don't know how much contact there was, but I was watching underneath, and Corey Carvey really battled on the glass that trip.
Kukroma, top of the key 3, off by Brooks.
Not sure that's the shot Penny Collins is wanting that early in the shot clock. Brooks only 2 of 9 from three-point land on the year.
Kenny White Jr., a second attempt won't fall, and a foul. Not on the shot, though. The official Boyd Copeland signaling on the floor. Kenny White Jr. up close and personal there, but not able to finish. We can see on that play, giving himself extra opportunities.
Couldn't tell who they got the foul on.
I could
Was
not
it Weston?
either.
Yeah, it's on Weston. That's his second.
Big foul there then.
Yeah, he's got to go sit down. Nope, he's still out there.
Brailsford with it for Morehead State as Morton almost loses it. On-ball defense there by Harper.
And almost pushed off a little too much.
Kenny White Jr. likes the free throw line jumper. Instead will take it further inside.
Weston was trying to guard him, and that's a size mismatch for Kenny White Jr., and he just kind of played some bully ball and just backed him down into the lane and hit a nice little 8-foot turnaround.
Man-to-man still from Morehead State. Carvey being backed down on by Brooks. Pass off. Finish not there, though. Extra opportunity. Three-point try. Will rattle in.
Well, J.C. Brooks now is 3 of 11 from the behind the arc on the season. I think Morehead State take their chances with a spot up by number 4 out there. But that one looked good.
It did. Lewis doused in for Tennessee State. You can see guarding Ruckseger going baseline as Morehead State to Carvey. Maybe blocked there by Brooks.
I think it definitely was. Pretty good job by Brooks because Carvey tried to do that where you just kind of bump into the chest and give yourself a little bit of space, but he stayed strong and walled up.
Brailsford tips the pass out of bounds as Nkrumah was trying to find a corner pocket 3. It's going to stay with Tennessee State. Everyone was walking up the floor, and I was thinking, come on back, guys.
I wasn't sure where everybody was going.
Right beside Dean and I here. 2 hour left. Ruckseger will take a breather as Anwar Malouk in.
Stephen Clay also came in.
He would be the Eagle returning. Wood in for Tennessee State. Catching a breather, Brooks. Little loop, swoop, and pull here by Harper, tying his shoes before he inbounds.
Corey Carvey getting a little blow. Yep, it's pretty good minutes from Morehead State in that sequence.
Ogundele is checked back in. Keep in mind he has 2 fouls, and no surprise they work it to him early.
You see Kenny White Jr., he went on, and as soon as the ball went down there, he dived in and tried to get a scrape on Ogundele.
Nakroma's 3 is off.
And the reason for that, you get the ball out of the post because he's got such a huge size advantage on any post player that Morehead State can put out there.
Morton gets a step on Wood. He likes that lefty lay-in, but won't get that one above the rim, but we'll have a chance to earn him at the line with just 6 ticks over 4 minutes.
Penny Collins is not real happy with that foul call, but I don't see a whole lot of argument there.
That's Douse just running right into him, yeah. When there's just that much body contact in the air, you have to call a whistle, and you can't call it offensive.
I mean, you're allowed to go up as long as you go straight up. You know, it's a principle of verticality, but when he went up, he was still moving laterally a little bit.
Let's just be thankful the game's not being called as tight as our first of 2 earlier today, as we get a second look of the foul again. Right there, you can see Douse with that kind of left side of his body and hip. And the women's game is a different set of rules, but boy, they kept it tight in the women's game where Morehead State won over Tennessee State by double digits.
Yeah, it was there were some fouls there.
It almost didn't resemble basketball because it was very tight. Not much contact was allowed at all, and I'll stop at that. Good game, though. It was a fun one. Tennessee State led for a good portion, but Morehead State on a 9-0 run to cap it off.
Yeah, they really closed it out well. Shot the free throws very well in the afternoon, which was something that Morehead State did very poorly in the first 5-6 games of the year.
3 is there on the right side by Harper.
That's a pretty shot by Harper. Came up on a curl from the baseline and just spotted up, and he drilled it.
6 of 20 coming into today from behind the arc. Wood, their best 3-point shooter, he's 8 of 20. Morton will try to add to his 3-point field goal percentage. Carvey, that's just all hustle from the big guy down low. He will go to the line, and we will go to a break. Tennessee State leads by 3. It may not be the highest scoring, but it's a close one, and it's physical here in Johnson Arena.
Nothing provides peace of mind like planning and preparation. And just like you do for your family, CenterPoint Energy plans and prepares every day to better serve our shared communities. We continue to invest in the resiliency of our electric grid to bring you the safe and reliable delivery of energy for what matters most.
See, we didn't need these after all.
He shoots, and he scores!
Founded in 1910 in the Ohio Valley region, German American Bank has been raising the standards in banking and wealth management for over a century. We're big enough to provide the conveniences of modern banking, yet small enough to care about the people and communities we serve. Because we believe that when a community thrives, its people prosper. Strengthening our community since 1910. German American Bank.
Member FDIC.
Rocking around the Christmas tree. Dean, I would ask you if you have your Christmas tree up, but I've met your wife, and I know it's up, and I'm sure it looks beautiful.
It's up. I did not participate in the purchase of the tree this year.
Oh,
because we had a ball game. Well, the day they went to the Christmas tree farm.
Somebody's got to work, right?
Somebody's got to do it.
Happy holidays to everyone.
Her.
Yeah, happy holidays, everyone tuned in. Dean Harden to my right, Jared Stacy with you in what has been a low-scoring game, but it's been a close one and a physical one. A lot of missed shots in this one, Dean, leading to a lot of interior battles.
Yeah, 10 of 29 for 34% for Morehead State from the floor. Tennessee State not bad, 11 of 23, 48%, but they're only 2 of 7 from behind the arc, which is right at their average, about 28, 29%.
And I didn't even look at this number when I made that point, but Morehead State 10 offensive rebounds, only 8 defensive.
Right.
You rarely, if ever, see that stat flip-flop.
That's an anomaly.
Yeah, that is very, very much an anomaly.
And those 10-second chance, or those 10 offensive boards led to 7 points for Morehead State on second chances.
Carvey, after battling down low and earning his trip to the line, misses the second. Missed them both.
Corey Carvey's having himself an afternoon so far. He's got 4 points, 3 rebounds. And I think a
little stop
pop
pop
shot.
A little baseline jumper there is off by Harper. He thought he was hit on the hand. He looked back at the trail official, Chris McCurry.
Yeah, he did. He was lobbying for a foul there.
Brailsford thought about lining it up. Carvey with a great screen. Brailsford couldn't get it back to him, though.
Yeah, it was covered up well by Brooks.
Brailsford, though, gets a little separation. Look at Carvey get a tip on the rebound to Brailsford for 3.
Ooh.
Carvey, I don't know if he'll get credit with the rebound, but he should.
He won't, but he kept it alive, and then Kenny White Jr. was able to pick it up off the floor. But good job by Corey Carvey keeping it alive.
That one gets noticed in film, though, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's charted probably already by one of the assistants.
And if it's not, Carvey will bring it up.
I don't know. He's very quiet.
Is he? Okay.
Yes.
Nice finish. Shot clock winding low in the painted area by J.C. Brooks.
And Corey Carvey came out. We're singing his praises. Now we're going to tell about a little something he needs to do a little bit better. He closed out up there beyond the top of the key. And, again, he closed out a little bit reckless, not under control. Player was able to just dribble right around him.
Tennessee State wanting the illegal screen by Carvey. Again, he gets the offensive rebound and again misses on the second chance. And a whistle's going to be called, a jump ball. It will stay with Morehead State. And Penny Collins, he's more than animated. He is very adamant about something.
Well, what the something is the screen out there right in front of him. He wanted an illegal screen called, and we may have a look at it right here. Here comes Carvey out on the ball screen, and that's not an illegal screen. He was set, he was stationary, and both feet were within inside his frame. Yes, the player tripped over him, but that's not an illegal screen.
Brazil had the quick inbound in his hands, but it's poked out. Rugseger keeps possession. Morehead State.
Rugseger's in a world of hurt down there in that corner.
Thought maybe Morehead State would use a timeout. They don't, and Kenny White Jr. makes a little lemons out of lemonade.
Kenny White Jr. got down into the lane, just a little hesitation move, stop and go, and was able to go right down the lane and cash it in.
My point there being, when life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. Well, the basketball court gave him a lane, so he took the lane, and he will get credit for the steal there. Brazil into the front court. Back to Kenny White Jr. Off the glass and good, and Morehead State trails by just 1.
Kenny White Jr. did a really good job because he went up. He knew there was going to be contact. He absorbed it and then laid it up in good order on the glass.
Under a minute, first half. Morehead State, Tennessee State with the Tigers leading by 1. Back into the hands. And it's blocked by Kenny White Jr.
Kenny White Jr. came all the way across the lane because Morehead State was rotating off of that picking action on the right side. Beautifully recognized by Kenny White Jr.
It was Nkrumah who had the shot blocked as Morehead State will hold on to it with 10 on the shot. Rugseger, he gets the skip pass. And a foul on Anwar Maluk. Either pushed down or really gave a assistance, if you will, to one of the Tennessee State players to the ground.
Anu cannot believe that there was a foul call in that, but you can see he hooked him.
I actually think my verbiage of helping him to the ground was kind of the proper words there because he wrapped him and then kind of held him down and just you sit right there.
Lowered him to the floor. It's 2 on Anwar. And both of them on the offensive glass. That's 3 on Maluk.
That one a no-doubter, though. Can't argue that one.
No, and the other one that was down on the rebounding action, I don't think you could argue that a whole lot either.
Free throw kind of caroms off that backboard and rim right down into the lap of Morehead State. They'll hold for 1. And they'll take a timeout to talk about it and draw up a play.
That's it, 30-second use it or lose it in the first half. So
you can't check that one in or get some extra money in the concession stand if you keep that timeout.
It has no cash value. Morehead State been a slog on the offensive end, 2 of their last 10. And on the other end of the floor, Tennessee State, they're in a 2-minute, 3-second scoring drought.
Just absolutely tragic news today out of Little Rock. Little Rock student manager Josh Claxton passed away in a car accident. The league and the 2 teams, Little Rock and Eastern Illinois, respectively, they're respectively going to reschedule that game for obvious reasons. But, man, talk about putting life in perspective for you, Dean. Thoughts and prayers to fans, friends, family of student manager Josh Claxton, and thoughts and prayers with all of the Little Rock community right now. Just absolutely tragic.
Yeah, absolutely. And people don't realize that, you know, they're student managers and they don't get any press. We don't talk about them, but they're part of the team.
Yes.
And they're just as much as part of the team as any of the players or the coaches. And I know that people down in Little Rock are hurting, and they just know that everybody here in Morehead's thinking of them and hope things will be all right.
Brazil at the buzzer. It spins in. And Morehead State will end this half.
Solid defense, make them take tough shots. That's what we've been seeing out of this ball club, and that's kind of what we're seeing today. Tennessee State, they'll shoot in gaps a little more, but they've played really good defense as well. They've had several defensive trips that I thought were excellent.
Just before the under-8 timeout in the first half, Tennessee State led by as many as 7. If you're wondering what Morehead State's largest lead is, it's right now. And, well, it doesn't last too long because the Morehead State lead, non-existent, now tied 32-32, and Kenny White Jr. took something upstairs maybe.
Yeah, Carlos Williams, he kind of hooked him just a little bit, and he got a hand or an elbow up high right on the jaw.
And Coach Collins was wanting something reviewed on the shot, it looked like. So.
Well, he said there was contact on his arm.
Brailsford in the painted area to Kenny White Jr. Little turnaround, pretty.
Well, that's nice. Kenny White Jr. came from the right elbow and just made himself available at the left elbow. Brailsford went down low with the bouncer, and Kenny White did the rest.
7 times we've been tied. 6 lead changes. Shot off, and Morehead State's going to get on the run with it. Brazil all the way up to Miles, who has it swatted away. What a play defensively by Williams. Oh, my goodness.
That's 2 blocks for Williams from the back. One in the first half and then this one. And that's a dangerous pass.
I mean, Williams, that is just impressive. 6'7" versus 7 foot. We'll get a baseline look of it here.
He came with a head of steam, and he got up there very nicely. And that's really just a credit, good hustle, getting back in transition D.
Brailsford will try from outside and spin one in.
Tyler Brailsford finally gets one of those 3 balls to go down. He's 1 of 2 now. Morehead State just 2 of 13 from behind the arc on the game.
Brailsford.
Or 2 for 14, rather.
Brailsford, as you would word it, Dean, opportunity for improvement behind the arc, under 25% on the season.
Well, that's an opportunity basically for this whole team, more or less. And Kenny and the whole Tennessee State bench is wanting a foul there. And I don't know that I can disagree with him. Looked like there was some contact on the wrist.
Weston threw up that shot fake, and it looked like everyone but the janitor in the tunnel bit on it.
He was biting too.
Brailsford.
Tennessee State back in that 2-3, looks like.
Splitting that 2-3 defense is Kenny White Jr. Ogundele had the rebound, gave it right to Kenny White Jr.
Brailsford had wanted no part of going up against Ogundele there. He's given up about 6 inches, maybe 7.
And 100 pounds at that.
At minimum.
Rootsager on a helter-skelter possession gets Ogundele to pick up his 3rd, and that's big.
Watch a nice hidden shoulder fake, too, to get him up in the air. And like you said, he only played 2 minutes in the first half, and he's only going to get about 2.5 in this half before he has to go sit down.
And no room for argument right there when you bite on the shot fake.
Yeah, I mean,
Rootsager will go to the line for Morehead State. Rootsager from Dover, Ohio, and Dean, another one of the players from the NAI well that Morehead State has gone to. We've seen Alex Gross, and here's another in Rootsager.
Yeah, and just Preston Spradlin started this a couple of years ago, went down and got Alex Gross, who played extremely well. as there's a free throw miss. Rucksager has not been the big difference maker yet that the last two have been.
Was not shooting well as Miles gets a block for Morehead State. Rucksager did not shoot well from behind the arc against UT Martin, back to my point, but when he gets hot, he can rattle off a handful in a hurry as Brazil wisely passes out. Kenny White Jr., why not? Yep.
Inside-out action, Jalen Brazil drew the defense down. That gave Kenny White Jr. all sorts of room, and he just knocked it down. Give Kenny White Jr. 18 on the afternoon.
Brazil, great job finding White. And Kenny White Jr., as Dean just said, 15 turns into 18, and Morehead State leads by 7.
You've chosen Polestar 3 because, of course you have, the performance, the feel. What else would you have chosen? Visit your local Polestar space to test drive.
BK melts, wanna warm up, this sure helps. Classic bacon, shroom and Swiss. BK melt season is tasty bliss. BK, have it your way.
No peeking.
Okay.
Open.
Over 600,000 USPS employees working in sync to ensure everything sent on its holiday ride ends with a moment of joy. The United States Postal Service.
I say what's happening, baby. Y'all all right.
We ain't never stop rolling, baby.
Hey, college basketball fans.
Andrea Carter here.
Jay Billis here.
To remind you that your favorite teams and conferences
Are on ESPN Plus.
If you love college basketball like me and the Billustrator,
Then it's time to get in the game and sign up to ESPN Plus.
you get a stellar slate of in-conference games
Including the Big 12, Atlantic 10, and many more.
that will feel like March.
We got to go to work.
Sign up now and catch your favorite teams.
Largest lead of the ball game for Morehead State, and that's in thanks to Kenny White Jr. leading with 18 points at three-pointer before the timeout taken by Coach Collins, and he is having a great game. I know you're pulling him up here, Dean. Kenny White Jr., where does he stand at on the season and career?
Well, he's got a ways to go yet. He had 34 against NJIT back. That was up at Cleveland State back on November 27th. That's a career high for him. So he's got a ways to go yet. And I wanted to finish our little sojourn about Morehead State going down to the NAI ranks. We didn't get a chance to mention Riley Minix last season, who has now signed a two-way contract with the San Antonio Spurs. I don't know if he's gotten into any action yet, but he did sign a two-way contract with the Spurs.
The way that two-way contract works, he will be going up and down as much as the organization really wants him to, from the G League level to the NBA level.
And I think another former Eagle from last year, Jordan Lathan, we think he is playing in the G League in California. We're not sure which franchise. We're trying to find that out.
5 on the shot. Brazil again takes it down amongst the towers. 3 on the shot. Brazil spins out.
Well, I thought that scoop shot was going to go down, but he couldn't get it to go.
In transition, the 3.
That's
there
pretty.
for Harper.
Well, that's a really pretty 3 by Travis Harper II. And boy, did you see the elevation he got on that jump shot? He was way up there. Harper's not that big. He's 6'6". But boy, he really elevated.
Harper played at Clayton State. Make sure I say that specifically before coming up to the D1 ranks at Tennessee State. Again, deep into the possession. Morton this time is going to be put up to the decision. Morton, was that him with the left hand?
Well, he's going to get credit for it, but it looked to me like it was Nkrumah that actually hit it and batted it in.
Aaron Nkrumah, who Dean was alluding to as they give it down to Ogundele. Right back to Nkrumah.
That one went down on the smallest guy in Morehead State's roster ripped it right out of the hands of Kenny White Jr.
Hey, that's his first rebound of the day. He's got to get in the rebound category. He's
Gotta
thinking.
go get it. I think Kenny probably saw who it was and just gave it up.
And Kenny White, his teammates will say he's had enough. Already 14 he's pulled down. Miles is doubled. Someone has to be open. That gets Tennessee State a little discombobulated, but a great box out there.
It sure was. Deontay Miles, just there's nothing he could do as Ogundele just really used that big frame, boxed him out.
It'll stay with Tennessee State as we will take a break here in Johnson Arena for the lead for Morehead State. Under 15 second half here on ESPN+.
Competitive excellence, energized fans, community involvement, sportsmanship, student-athlete success in and out of the classroom. That's OVC leadership, and it isn't new to us. We've been doing it for more than 75 years. It's time to OVC it. The Ohio Valley Conference, fiercely independent since 1948.
When you're the leader in disaster cleanup and restoration, how do you make like it never even happened happen? Let it rain, Randy! Woo! Yes! By being prepared for anything! Woo! Whatever comes your way, there's a pro for that.
Serve pro like it never even happened.
He shoots, and he scores!
Are you ready to take your money to new heights? Get a flexible high-yield checking account that lets you customize your interest rate so you can keep your finances headed in the right direction. With Elevate Checking from United Fidelity Bank, you're in control of how much you earn. You can raise your rate with a few easy steps. Get more ways to earn more with Elevate Checking and start earning 4.00% APY. Learn more at unitedfidelity.com/elevate or visit your local banking center.
Morehead State with the 4-point lead over Tennessee State. Morehead State cheerleaders in just about 4 weeks will head down to Disney World for the UCA National Championships.
And right before we went, there was a tip in on the other end. We weren't sure, but we saw the replay just for a minute, and Jerome Morton did get a hand on it, so he did a really good job. There's a nice three.
Great answer out of the timeout by Travis Harper. Much needed, trims the lead to just one. Tennessee State now 4 of 6. Make that 4 of 10 rather from behind the arc. Morehead State quite the opposite, 3 of 15.
Two straight three balls behind Travis Harper finding the net.
That's just a poor pass. Morton really put Kenny White Jr. in a tough spot, and it's last off of Morehead State.
It was a tough pass, but still, I think Kenny, if you ask him later, he said, yeah, I probably should have caught it. Jonathan Maddox certainly thinks he did. He looked at Kenny and said, you got to be strong.
Wood. Now off to Brooks, man-to-man for Morehead State as Weston will lean into Miles. Good defense there.
That's really good defense because all he did was walled him up. He didn't try to do too much, just make it tough.
Clay rattles out a 3. That one poked its head in and said, not today.
Well, that was way down there.
Threes back and forth. That one knocked down by J.C. Brook and give the Tigers the lead.
That's Travis Harper, the second again. That's 3 in a row, but somebody better find number 2.
That's 2, not 4, Jared.
Half. It's 9 quick points for Harper.
Wow, that hesitation by Morton caused all the difference there.
Second straight game, Jerome Morton's now in double figures. Give him 10.
Looked like that hesitation kind of confused Tennessee State on if they were going to switch or not. He takes advantage. tied again. 8 ties, 7 lead changes. We've been tied for nearly 5 minutes of this game.
It's been a closely contested affair. And what a
Weston gives it off, and the 3 is knocked down, and it's raining threes. That time for sure was Brooks.
Yeah, J.C. Brooks, that's his second of the afternoon. He's 2 of 3 now. Came in the afternoon, only 2 of 9.
Morton, long 2-point jumper, follows his own shot, and will control the rebound, and a foul will stay on Morehead State's end, though. Officials again, Dustin Williams on the call, along with Chris McCurry and Boyd Copeland.
I'll give Jerome Morton a ton of credit because he missed the first shot, got his own rebound, still stayed with it, and I bet Penny Collins, once he starts breaking the tape down, showing the team, he's going to say, is anybody going to block out on this play? Because nobody laid a body on Jerome Morton during that sequence.
Williams, the guilty party, his third. Morehead State, we played over 7 minutes, still yet to have a foul called here in this second half. Just noting, it's Kenny White Jr. with the shot fake and took a tough tumble after getting the defender up in the air. That was Weston. A couple free throws upcoming.
Weston was trying to be very aggressive. You see it right here is he got caught on that screen on the near side by Morton. And that made him very late getting there because Morehead State had flooded the right side of the floor, so there was really nobody to help on that side.
Kenny White Jr. split a pair of free throws at the line tonight. On the year, though, would like to shoot better, 60% at the free throw line.
He's a better shooter than that. And if you remember, there were a handful of games early, 2 or 3 games, where Morehead State just shot abysmally from the free throw line. And they've gotten a lot better as of late, but still I think that may be an opportunity for improvement.
And neither team, and you've touched on it, shoots the free throw well. Both teams under 65% as a team, and you usually like to see up near the 72, 73% range at a minimum.
Yeah, Southern Indiana leads the Ohio Valley Conference along with Tennessee Tech at 72% basically.
Yeah, maybe I'm shooting a little higher than what it is, though, but yeah, well off the conference pace, though, no doubt.
Yeah, Morehead State at 64%. That's 7th in the league. Tennessee State's 9th in the league at 63%. So, yeah, they would like to see it, 4 or 5 ticks better.
Lost in the painted area, and Scott will come away with it.
Trent Scott will get credit for the steal. That was a really poor pass, entry pass. It really was nothing there.
This Tennessee State defense kind of been back on its heels of late, and Kenny White Jr. takes advantage.
Well, Kenny White Jr. have a day. Just have a day. Really pretty move. Went into the middle of the lane and spun off of it and went down the left side. He's got 21 on the afternoon.
Nakroma to Brooks. Good job by Malute getting back. He's playing with 3 fouls. Long time in the paint there. Morehead State bench wanting 3 seconds. Stop. Pop straight away, 3-0 but net, and Tennessee State lead back to 3.
That's at least 4 straight threes that Tennessee State's putting up there that have gone down. Tigers get hot outside, watch out. They are 7 of 13 for the game. That's 54% from behind the arc.
Kenny White Jr. skips it across. Ends up to Morton. Nice dump pass.
And Maluke's got to finish that. Did everything right. Beautiful pass from Morton, just a little diagonal interior.
Almost tipped in there by Brooks. Would have been a little own goal, if you will. Lead at 3, maybe more. We'll see, and it will be. 5 now for the Tigers.
And Nakumai just really this little floater in the lane, went around the corner, got the pick on Morton, and Jonathan Maddox is going to decide he best get a timeout.
He'll take a timeout. And we'll break as well. Tennessee State, they can't miss of late. Morehead State clinging in, though, trailing by 5 here in Morehead.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With Venture X, earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy and get access to over 1,300 airport lounges. Open up a world of possibilities with Capital One. What's in your wallet?
BK melts. Wanna warm up? This sure helps. Classic bacon, shroom, and Swiss. BK melt season is tasty bliss. BK, have it your way.
No peeking.
Okay.
Open.
Over 600,000 USPS employees working in sync to ensure everything sent on its holiday ride ends with a moment of joy. The United States Postal Service.
I say what's happening, baby. Y'all all right.
We ain't never stop rolling, baby.
To Janie. You've been stealing my fleece for years. It's about time you had one that's just for you. For all the adventures you take. After all, what are big sisters for? Now, give me my fleece back or I'm telling mom and dad. Love, Emma.
Morehead State trailing Tennessee State by 5, 53-48. And Tennessee State from behind the arc this half being pretty good, 5 of 6.
That'll get it done. That will absolutely get it done.
We thought foul trouble may be a factor, too, in the second half. Right now, though, no one with more than 3 for Tennessee State, but they have 3 with 3, so keep an eye on that. Maluk trying to find Marshall and went right through the hands. No other way to say it.
They got everything done right, too. That's on the horn set. Marshall went around the pick on the left elbow of Kenny White Jr., and he was there. There was some defense there, but that's something that I would think you asked George later, he said, yeah, I should have caught it.
21 points, 15 rebounds, 2 assists for Kenny White Jr. Harper with 16, Nkrumah with 11 for Tennessee State as Brooks will penetrate, and Anwar Maluk will pick up his 4th foul and send Brooks to the line.
See, Anwar Maluk, he felt like he needed to close out because Tennessee State's been so deadly from three-point range as of late, and then when he closed out, that gave Brooks a chance to put the ball on the deck, and he moves pretty well for a big man, and Anwar Maluk couldn't do much about it.
And once you scrape that arm down as quick as Maluk did, you're really making it tough for the official not to call a foul.
Right, you've got to really justify not doing it then. And Maluk, that's 4 fouls, so big Deontay Miles is going to have to check in for him.
And Miles visibly limping, running onto the floor.
Yeah, he had a little hitch in the giddy-up. He's missed the last several games. He was in concussion protocol, and then he had a little flare-up, a lower leg flare-up in practice, maybe Monday or Tuesday of this week that left him out of the game Thursday night.
Didn't show any issue there, and wow, he is visibly wincing. And last thing you want to do is re-injure or cause a flare-up. But
yeah, he's definitely coming up a little lame.
Morton back to Kenny White Jr., 21.
Well, they double him to get it out of his hands.
Scott blocked. Great play by Nkrumah. 4 players with a hand on it, and Brooks retains it. Coming up on midway through half number 2. That's going to be off of the foot of Tennessee State. And
Penny Collins can't believe it.
I think that's a good break for Morehead State.
You might be able to see it right here.
We'll see whose foot it was off of. And, yep, that was off Trent Scott, whose leg went in between the legs there of Nkrumah. Some people will say, though, Dean, that all ends up even at the end of the year. Some will go your way, some you won't.
Sometimes you hit a line drive right at somebody, and sometimes a little bleeder gets through.
Kenny White Jr., all kinds of contact. You could maybe call 2 fouls as 2 players came crashing in.
Well, I don't know what the pregame meal Kenny White Jr. had this morning, but they're going to order a case of it for him because he's really come to play today. And like I said, really nice job using superior strength just to get up and get it on the glass through contact.
Doused will be the guilt. No, scratch that. Brooks, see, that's kind of getting to my point. I thought Doused for sure with that hook under that right arm was going to get it, but nope, it's on Brooks.
It was kind of a pick 'em. I think they both, you're right, I think they both fouled him.
Not possible yet in basketball, though, to have 2 fouls by the same team on one shooter, unless I'm missing some weird one-off situation.
Can't think of one.
Me either. To the lead for Tennessee State, maybe more. Won't fall, but Morton, he's got a head of steam. To Marshall. One-on-one versus Brooks, and he'll be fouled by Brooks.
Oh, and Brooks is saying, hey, I was straight up, I was vertical. But he's going to get the foul.
Official Chris McCurry right there on top of it.
We got a good look of it right here. We'll see.
I think he may have a point, Dean.
Maybe.
Notice how I worded that. I think and maybe.
Yeah.
Leave a lot of room for speculation.
Yeah. Yeah, and the angle we had was not the greatest on that camera shot, but it wasn't bad.
Marshall knocks down the first, just over 66% on the season.
That's another man on the free throw line there, George Marshall. You would think that percentage, as well as he shoots the basketball, should be quite a bit better.
Played at Itawamba Community College.
Down in Mississippi?
I love saying that name. Maybe not as much fun as Monkey's Eyebrow, Kentucky, though. And yes, that is a real city in Kentucky.
Well, I call it a city.
Okay. It's a dot on the map, I'll say. 53-53. We stay tied for now as Miles, even with a little bit of discomfort in that left leg, I beg your pardon.
Looks like he's moving better now.
Yeah, I agree. He'll get the board. Morton now. Eating a little bit of clock, catching a breath. Morton passes to nobody, and, well, that's just your typical one zig when one thought they were going to zag.
Yeah, Trent Scott was parked over there in that far corner, and then when Morton came down the lane, Trent thought he was going to come in. Trent thought he was going to just do the little dump right there below the block, and like you said, one zig and one zag and turnover.
These two teams kicked off OVC play today. Game starting at 3 Central, Eastern Illinois at Little Rock, postponed. We'll talk about that briefly here in just a little bit again. Eastern Illinois and Little Rock postponed. Western Illinois at Lindenwood. UT Martin at Southern Indiana, and SIUE at SEMO out in Cape Girardeau. Penetrating baseline. Miles blocks it from behind, but Kenny White Jr. most likely going to get called on a body.
Yeah, I believe that's what they're going to get Kenny White Jr. on that. And
it'll be Williams fouled, and he'll go to the line.
Williams did a really good job because he knew he was going to go up in some contact, and he did a really good job of just knowing what's going to go on. He went ahead and forced the issue.
Sometimes, Dean, you have basketball games where you'll see the starters dominate a lot of the game. We are seeing the benches from both teams here in this one today.
Yeah, bench points, 18-10 edge for Morehead State.
That painted area, it may not be as painted either after this game's over. Points in the paint, 50 of the combined 107 in that painted area.
Well, we've got a little bit before we have another game here, man. Have to get maintenance out here to redo the paint.
They don't want me painting.
They're wearing it out.
What a beautiful floor, though. What, second year for this floor after being refinished?
Yeah. They did a really good job with the design of it, and it looks pretty good.
Morehead State also announced recently the concerts are starting back again here in Johnson Arena. And, folks, you would not believe some of the big names that have performed here in Johnson Arena.
I've seen Chicago here, Starship.
Goo Goo Dolls for some people. As Marshall, little shovel pass, that's forcing it right there.
That's a bad pass. He just shoveled it there to Deontay Miles and hit him below the waist with it.
And I
took turnover.
Took the words out of my mouth. I was going to say not only 2 Miles, but threw it below his waist. And for any big guy, that's tough. Morehead State, though, gets it back. Scott off the glass, but too hard. A lot of contact. It looked like Miles had the left arm just absolutely manhandled of Carlos Williams.
Yeah, Deontay Miles is on the rebounding action. We'll see it right here. Trent Scott with a pretty good move, and Deontay Miles just got a little bit tangled up with Williams.
Did stop the fast break?
Yeah,
or opportunity for one.
Yeah, I think they were going to go the other way because Morehead State had a lot of players had already filled pretty close to the bucket.
Man-to-man from Morehead State. What we'll see just about all year out of this Eagle squad. Under 8. Not much going on this possession now, approaching 10 seconds on the shot. Left side, Williams, well short. Another opportunity, though, as Tennessee State crashes the glass.
Harper just did a really good job of reading it and seeing where it was going to come out, the little long kicking rebound from a long shot.
It's been over 2.5 minutes since Tennessee State scored, and it will remain that for the moment. How did that not fall?
I thought it was down for sure. And
Two times.
Yeah, Harper put it up beautiful for him, and it just wouldn't go down.
But Tennessee State still clinging on to that lead. Morehead State hasn't scored in over 2 minutes. Tennessee State hasn't had a field goal in almost 4. This is what we saw in the second half of the first half, Dean.
Yeah, down the stretch in the first half, the lids went on the bucket.
Brailsford, he's in some trouble, finds Miles with the left hand. Miles will tumble to the hardwood on a shot that was well short.
Little turnaround hook, and Deontay just left it short right up on the front rim.
10-second call as Wood did not get it across the timeline, and that will bring us to another timeout on the floor. We have not seen a point in over 2 minutes, nearly 3 minutes for Morehead State themselves. 2-point lead for Tennessee State here in Morehead.
This is Polestar 3, now with packs and single options, plus Pilot Pro and Performance packs. Anything else would be uncivilized. Visit your local Polestar space to test drive.
Hosting a holiday feast? Let Popeyes cook something everyone will love. Serving it as a home-cooked meal can be our little secret. This year, take a holiday from cooking with Popeyes Festive Family Box.
No peeking.
Okay.
Open.
Over 600,000 USPS employees working in sync to ensure everything sent on its holiday ride ends with a moment of joy. The United States Postal Service.
I say what's happening, baby. Y'all all right.
We ain't never stop rolling, baby.
Hey, college basketball fans.
Andrea Carter here
Jay Billis here.
to remind you that your favorite teams and conferences
Are on ESPN Plus.
If you love college basketball like me and the Billustrator,
Then it's time to get in the game and sign up to ESPN Plus.
you get a stellar slate of in-conference games
Including the Big 12, Atlantic 10, and many more.
that will feel like March.
We got to go to work.
Sign up now and catch your favorite teams.
Tennessee State, 2 minutes without scoring. Morehead State, 2:50 without scoring. But, Dean, you're not seeing a whole lot of bad shots, you would say. I mean,
no, they're not bad shots. I mean, I was during the break. I was kind of looking at the stats, see what I can see, and the big stat that sticks out to me right now is I know they haven't scored in a bit, but they're putting the ball in the hole this half. 9 of 17 from the floor, 53%. They've been excellent behind the arc. 5 of 8, 63%. That's unheard of. That's why they're leading.
leading by 2 at the moment as Clay will try to put the Eagles in front and will. Stephen Clay with the 3, and he's picking up where he left off, now over 40% from behind the arc.
Stephen Clay, we talked about him early in the first half, how he's earned some more minutes, and he's able to bring some additional or instant offense when he comes in off the bench.
Brailsford has a lane and is going to be fouled from behind, and wow, Brailsford took a tumble. Nothing dirty or malicious by Crew Mama, but Nukroma, the one who will pick up the foul, and we can see him. Great hustle.
Just right on the hand, and it might have jammed his finger maybe. But really what happened there, too, was Harper tried to go for the steal right here in front of us, and when he didn't come up with it, and when Tyler Brailsford came up with it, and Tennessee State was in a world of hurt defensively on the trip.
I thought we may have a player in our lap for a moment.
I was bracing.
This is not like where the chain gang in the NFL and college football, you can drop the chains and run. We've got stanchions behind us. It'd be tough to get out of the way.
I'm just ducking. Duck and cover.
Duck and cover. I would not disagree there. Seen some physical play, you know, speaking of the size. Both teams are really getting their money's worth with their size, as we have one player with 4 fouls and Maluk 4 players with 3 when you look at both teams. So foul trouble for Maluk, who is over on the bench right now with 4 fouls.
Ogundele had 3 fouls, 2 of them very early in the first half, and 1 of them very early in this half. And he went out immediately. We have not seen him back, and we're getting down to the final stretch of this game.
Nkrumah being guarded by Clay. 6 on the shot, under 6 in the ball game. Barring overtime, which we saw against Martin and Morehead Thursday. Little hesitation.
Excellent defensive possession for Morehead State, and capped off by Stephen Clay not getting really excited and fouling a 3-point shooter. Just let him go up. It's a tough 3. If he makes it, tip your hat and go on.
And that's
don't bail him out with a foul.
And that's what caused that hesitation completely, right? Clay deserves a lot of credit as Kenny White Jr. No good on, but Miles using that size.
Deontay Miles gets on the scoreboard, or in the scorebook, first time all afternoon. That was a big bucket for Morehead State.
Morehead State on a run now, leading by 5. That is now 7 straight missed field goals for Tennessee State. The run 7-0 for Morehead State.
Jerome Morton did an excellent job defensively as Weston tried to play some bully ball against him, and he stood right up to him. Excellent man-to-man defense by Jerome Morton.
Tennessee State hasn't scored in nearly 4 minutes, if not over now, but
It's
Morehead
over
State,
4 minutes now.
Yeah, they deserve a lot of credit, like you mentioned, on the defensive end. Kenny White Jr. almost tied up.
Boy, Miles and Harper are just in hand-to-hand combat, and now they're going to get Harper. He's giving up a lot of size to Deontay Miles, and Harper was battling as much as he could, and he just pretty much grabbed on to Deontay Miles. And we'll see it right here, right side of the screen, and he just got him wrapped. And that was before the whistle. And then they did it again, and he finally hooked him, and Chris McCurry said, okay, boys, enough's enough.
That is the definition of physical down low right there.
It's been pretty rugged all afternoon, but you know, it's just the way the game's played.
And it's a good kind of rugged, though. We haven't seen anything dirty at all. No. Nothing. It's been just good old-fashioned big boy basketball, and we are going to have a review.
They may be looking at a hook and hold.
Well, I did notice there briefly as we get a look at the baseline angle, if we can see that again. But it looks like Miles' right arm is kind of cupped by both arms of the defender for Tennessee State. And you'll see Miles come in from the right side of your screen. Wait until this develops. Right there, you can see both those arms kind of holding them.
And I've got to ask an official, I don't know if we have a chance to today, but I'm going to ask about some clarification. My understanding the hook and hold rule is less than complete.
Looked at the monitor for, well, about 10 seconds. We're ready to go back.
Chris McCurry over there talking with Jonathan Maddox. And I think basically saying, there's not enough there to be there.
If you want to be very specific, there may have been a slide hook and maybe a slide hold, but not to raise it to that level that they're told to keep an eye out on, they being the officials.
And if I'm not mistaken, and again, my knowledge is not what it should be. But the hook and hold, I think that's an F1 foul.
And keep in mind, we touched on it earlier, the women's game has a different set of rules than the men's game.
Well,
so
not only a different set of rules, a different philosophy, too, how the powers that be want it called.
Morehead State lead at 5, and we've been stuck here at 60-55 for a while. Out of bounds off Morehead State. Could have easily been called a kick ball as well.
And I think he just threw it off his foot instead of the foot moving. And that's how you differentiate that. Just because it hits a foot doesn't mean it's a kick.
Just like over the back does not mean it's a foul, because you can grab a rebound over somebody's back.
On the back.
On the back, yep.
That's the foul. And you see Harper trying to bully up on Brailsford and back in.
Nkrumah answers with the 3, much needed. That stops an almost 5-minute scoring drought.
Nkrumah with 14 points now. He's 2 of 4 behind the arc. Tennessee State 8 of 17 on this ball game. That's better than 45%. That's 47% from behind the arc. Excellent shooting from the Tigers here this afternoon.
Kenny White Jr. finds Brailsford. Brailsford somehow squeezes it over top of the rim with the help of the glass.
Pretty nice set that time for Morehead State, and Kenny White Jr. was very patient, waiting for Tyler Brailsford to make that break down low, and he hit him with a really nice pass.
For the lead again. Morehead State's led for 11 minutes. Tennessee State's led for nearly 19. Right now, though, Morehead State has forced Tennessee State to miss one or all but one of their last 8 field goals, and that was another much needed.
That's a beautiful job by Carlos Williams. He's going up against the much taller Deontay Miles. You can see Miles is almost a head taller than he is. And he just went up right into his chest, displaced him a little, and then went right up to him.
Next whistle, we do have a timeout on the floor. I just mentioned that because both teams look like they could use a break, as we're going to have a foul on the penetration tacked on Brandon Weston. And it's a 2-point ball game with Morehead State at the free throw line for the 1+1 as they lead by 2 here on ESPN+.
When you're the leader in disaster cleanup and restoration, how do you make like it never even happened happen? Fire it up, Randy! By being prepared for anything! Whatever comes your way, there's a pro for that.
Serve Pro, like it never even happened.
Support your school with the German-American School Spirit Check Card. With each purchase you make using the card, we make a donation to your participating school of choice. Stop in your local German-American bank office, open a checking account, and request your free School Spirit Check Card today. Visit GermanAmerican.com for a list of participating schools. German American Bank, member FDIC.
Competitive excellence, energized fans, community involvement, sportsmanship, student-athlete success in and out of the classroom. That's OVC leadership, and it isn't new to us. We've been doing it for more than 75 years. It's time to OVC it. The Ohio Valley Conference, fiercely independent since 1948.
Gotta love the oldies Christmas music. Little Run Run Rudolph. With Christmas right around the corner, do want to take a moment and mention again our thoughts and prayers with the Little Rock community. Just heartbreaking news today out of Little Rock. The Eastern Illinois Little Rock game has been postponed, but Dean, that is the absolute least of everyone's concerns right now. Just want to mention again, student manager Josh Claxton, involved in a car accident, passed away, and just simply tragic, and it gives me goosebumps to even say. So positive vibes, thoughts, prayers, send them to Little Rock's community, because just makes you realize, Dean, there's a whole lot more than just a basketball.
Yeah, as much as we love sports, but, just all you can say is, all the good vibes that we can send down there to that community, that team, and that whole town. It's coming that way.
Keep in mind the 1+1, 8 fouls on Tennessee State, so Morehead State will shoot this 1+1 one more time.
Morehead State only has 3 fouls in this half.
Why do I mention the 1+1? Well, that's why, because you can leave not only points on the floor, but free throw attempts on the floor. Under 3 minutes, 2-point game. 8 lead changes, 10 ties. Swatted by Miles. He almost blocked that with his elbow. He kind of pinned it up into his forearm.
Well, Carlos Williams was bodying up down there with Kenny White Jr. on the baseline. You see it right there, and Miles came from up top. Williams didn't see him coming. Oh, my goodness, Miles just absolutely blew up a screen, and they're going to call it illegal on Williams.
And Jerome Morton looked like an NFL receiver when they get a big catch for a first down and they signal first down. Morton here at the midcourt line, he gave it the Morehead State direction.
Oh, my goodness. It was Morton that ran him over.
And there you can see what I'm talking about right there.
And that was a good call by Dustin Williams. It was a really good call. Penny Commons is not liking it, but that was a really good call by Dustin Williams.
Oh, this is great. Kenny White Jr., 24 points, 16 rebounds, 4 assists, and 1 wet spot cleaned up. Put that in the stat column. I don't think that's a stat, though.
Might do the team laundry here after the game.
Oh, come on. Surely somebody will pick that up for him.
Yeah, we'll pick him up.
I was going to say, at worst, you can run over and do the man a favor.
No problem.
Not me, though.
No.
I can barely do mine.
You'll shrink the uniform.
Probably.
This looks like a 1-3-1 zone. First time we've seen this from Tennessee State all afternoon.
Brailsford runs right into the heart of it and gets nothing. Midway.
Interesting on a 1-3-1. You got to attack it a little bit different than other zones, and bam, right as soon as you say it. Jerome Morton, who had a breakout game Thursday with a career-high 18. He's got 13 here today.
He's shooting, not kidding, folks, over 50% from behind the arc on the season, even including today's game. As a little extra push there after the play as Weston and Morton getting tangled up there. Morton will pick up the foul, though.
Well, Weston was banging on with Morton on the play. And then after the whistle was blown by Dustin Williams, there's a little elbow shot right there. And the thing is Weston already has a technical. He got the technical in the first half. So if he gets another, he's done.
And we are going to have a review.
Well, and Jonathan Maddox basically demanded of Dustin Williams that they go look at it. The whole coaching staff was doing the finger in the air around and around, saying you got to go look at that.
There is no doubt, as we will see here, that Weston gets an elbow into Morton after the whistle. The question is, Dean, is it enough to warrant a little more?
You can see the banging, and there's the bang, and there's the whistle, and then bam. And it's unnecessary. Brendan Weston is a wonderful basketball player, but it's unnecessary, and that's really 2 gratuitous shots he's taken today.
And now 20 years ago, Dean, you could maybe get away with stuff like that after the whistle, but now where coaches can go to the replay, and that replay took no time at all. They don't see anything warranting anything escalated. But now where they can go to the replay and see these plays slowed down, zoomed in,
yeah.
That little nitpicky stuff, that little extracurricular stuff that used to never be thought about, it can go back and be looked at, but nothing called there.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that the replay didn't take a little longer, but, I mean, it was what it was, and you could see it, and the officials had to make a quick determination. Well, no, we're not going to go there.
Maybe the officials have a...
And honestly, I think if he had not had a technical in the first half, might have gotten one there. That's tough to throw a kid out of a ball game on that kind of contact. Now, if he cold cocks him, yeah.
Something no doubt or you don't have a problem, but I totally get your point there. Wood. Across the court. He'll feed it inside. Miles, nice job as Morehead State having to scatter on defense, and the 3 is there for Tennessee State and Travis Harper.
And that's beautiful basketball movement. Just nice motion by Tennessee State. They have really come to play this afternoon. Penny Collins is going over to West, and he's trying to settle him down. You can see him talking over there with him. But look at the ball movement here. It comes inside, outside, around, back. And that's just a matchup nightmare for a team like Morehead State, who does a lot of switching on defense.
Wood will get the assist there in the stat book, but when he drove in, that really brought in Brailsford from the baseline. Yeah. And once Brailsford's momentum came towards the middle of the court, it was really going to be tough for him to get back and close out the shot.
Well, Brailsford has to come back and at least show. At least, come back and show and maybe scrape, because it's just that's their concept. That's the way they play. But you're right. Once he came in to scrape and at least show, then the kick out, and he's got a long way to go to get back to contest a shot.
You can see there on the bottom of your screen, Morehead State with a few fouls to give. Morehead State sitting with 2 timeouts remaining. Make that 1 rather. Tennessee State sitting with 2. But those fouls to give for Morehead State, something to keep in mind.
Now the scoreboard has 2 timeouts for Morehead State and only 1 for Tennessee State.
Well, one's right, one's wrong between the official stats and the scoreboard.
I don't know.
Me either. I just talk about what I'm presented. As Morehead State with the 2-point edge. A little token full court pressure. Both teams' largest lead has been 7, and both teams have gone at least on a 7-0 run at least once in this game. 90 seconds left. Kenny White Jr. has it poked away, and Wood is going to get tacked for the foul, and he can't believe it, and I must say I'm shocked too.
I'd like to see it. There was some contact there, but I wasn't sure if there was contact before the ball was kicked loose or not. This might be a pretty good look. Yeah, maybe not.
Keep an eye out. 5-5 in the black is who it was tacked on.
There was some contact there. And the fact that Kenny White Jr. went to the floor and he was dispossessed of the basketball, that means a lot.
Missed free throws may come back to bite Morehead because they've now left 10 points on the floor.
Yeah, they're 12 of 22 from the line.
And that doesn't include the front end of the 1+1 they've missed a couple times.
That's right.
3 the lead again.
Big possession both ways. Morehead State would dearly love a stop. Tennessee State, they get a bucket, 2 or 3. They'll be pretty happy.
Morehead State also has the possession arrow on top of a few fouls to give.
That's just a clean takeaway.
Miles wisely waits for Morton to come get it, and then Morton will go to the free throw line.
Penny Collins is pleading for a foul down there on that takeaway, and I don't know if we have a look at it down on the other end. Penny Collins is pleading with Chris McCurry, the official down there.
Morton was the hero against UT Martin, and well, he really hadn't let off the gas any at all, Dean.
No, he's played very, very well. Like I said, he had a breakout game, it felt like, Thursday night with career high 18. He's backed it up. As they say, he's validated it.
I don't think there's anything prettier than a lefty shooting a free throw. There's just something about
unless it's me shooting a free throw.
Well,
I'm left-handed.
Me shooting any free throw.
It's ugly.
Yeah.
12 turnovers on Tennessee State, just 7 for Morehead State.
Yeah, Morehead State's been able to turn that into 19 points, too.
20.
20 now. Good point.
20 points off turnovers for Morehead State in this ballgame. Now it's 21-6, Edge.
Morehead State fans coming to their feet. Under a minute here in Johnson Arena.
Weston was down there, and then Deontay Miles was on him on a switch. Weston's going to try to go inside, and wow.
Miles will pick up the foul. For Miles, that will be his 4th. So Maluk and Miles both with 4 for Morehead State, and Williams and Weston both with 4 for Tennessee State.
Give Weston a lot of credit. He was going up against a 7-footer, and he'd had no fear going in there. But I thought as rugged as they've let that play, I didn't think there'd be a whistle on that one.
Under a minute, 16 on the shot clock as Woods 3 off the front of the iron. Kenny White Jr. absolutely swarmed. Gets it to a teammate in Brailsford. Morehead State needs to get it across the timeline as Brailsford is fouled and will go to the line. While we have a second, let's take a look at our upcoming schedules. Presented by Sunbelt Bakery, the tastiest flavors under the sun. Sunbelt Bakery. And for this Tennessee State team back at home, they will host SEMO and Little Rock after the new year, then on the road for a 2-game road trip at Lindenwood in Western Illinois. Morehead State will not be back home until a few days before the new year. Alice Lloyd here at home, and then Morehead State will go spend the New Year's in Evansville against Southern Indiana.
Only game in the OVC on New Year's Eve is Southern Indiana hosting Morehead State, men and women.
6-point lead, a chance to make it 7. Kenny White Jr., though, Dean, what a game. 25 points, 17 rebounds, 4 assists. I mean, he is just absolutely...
And mopped the floor.
Yeah, I mean, he literally mopped the floor, folks, if you're just tuning in. That is not Dean making a joke. He grabbed whatever you call the towel at the end of the stick.
Mop?
Well, it's a little different than a mop. It's a
floor mop.
Okay, but it's a circle. I guess floor mop will go with it. But, I mean, he's doing it all, literally. But on a serious note, this is a game that some people would call, a trap game. It's the second end of a OVC 2 games in 3 days. It's your last home game, or make it rather your last home conference game until next year. So sometimes you see teams come in and steal those victories on the road, but Morehead State, they have really battled.
They've battled, so is Tennessee State. They have shot them excellent.
Yep.
In the second half, 12 of 25 from the floor with the Tigers, 48%, 7 of 12 from behind the arc. That's 58% for the game. They're 9 of 19. Morehead State, this half, they've shot it much better than they did the first half. They're 4 of 5 behind the arc this half, 5 of 18 on the game, which is 28%, which is just a little below their average.
Tennessee State needs points and need them in a hurry. And that may be an understatement. Weston Harper step back, then steps forward and makes the three. Holy cow. I don't know if I've ever seen a shot like that, to step back, then forward.
Have a day, Travis Harper. Give him 22 on the afternoon, 6 3-pointers, and that's a terrible
Disastrous pass. Harper, shot, blocked, out of bounds, and it will go to Morehead State. They're going to review this, and I bet you.
I think it's going to be flipped.
I think it's going to be flipped too.
But how about the block on the 3-pointer by Stephen Clay? He came out of nowhere to come up and get that. We'll see it right here. There's the block. Well, you know what?
By that view, me and you may be wrong. It may be Morehead State basketball, and the key is it has to be pretty clear, well, very clear and very concise to turn the call.
It has to be, I forget the actual terminology, but it's not pretty clear or very clear. It has to be basically absolutely no question, we got it wrong, we're going to flip it. And I'll tell you, with that look, I don't know that you can flip it.
And the way that Kenny White Jr.'s hand was moving and the Tennessee State player, I didn't see which number it was.
Tennessee State player was following through, and I think that gave the ball the impetus to, go and fall on out of bounds.
Watching the spin on the ball can also determine a lot too. Let's see as it leaves the hands, and yeah, that's looks like the fingertips of Tennessee State there.
Is that Williams that was battling?
It's either Williams or Weston.
Couldn't tell. Again, those numbers are really hard to see. Those blue numbers on the black jerseys.
Just imagine if that was a football jersey. You wouldn't know who got a tackle or anything.
We've seen those. And, it's different sitting courtside trying to call a game like that and be up in a press box and you're 70 yards away from something happening. That's fun.
To no surprise, the officials taking a long look at this.
Yeah, this is going to take a minute because they want to make sure. From the other end zone, we'll see what our look like gets here.
I think that's going to stay with Morehead State. It will stay with Morehead State.
I just don't think they had enough. I just don't think they had enough to flip it.
Morehead State's made 3 consecutive field goals, but a 3 knocked down by Morehead State or by Tennessee State, and a horrible turnover on a long pass.
Well, Morehead State just made a couple of substitutions. They got Jalen Brazil back in the game, Kate Rutzeger back in the game. Of course, he's an excellent free throw shooter. Brazil is an excellent free throw shooter, plus ball handlers. Morehead State's gone very, very small. They got all guards in there to take care of the basketball. Try to close this out.
We're going to do a little ring around the rosy, I guess. And it's inbound to Brailsford, and he steps on the sideline and gives it back to Tennessee State for the lead for Morehead State. But Tennessee State staying in this.
Brailsford, I think, is saying he asked for a timeout, and now he's asking for the officials to go look at it. So that's what they're going to do. But 2 big turnovers may prove to be fatal to Morehead State.
Morehead State cannot get out of their own way right now, and
I'll be honest with you, I think he was asking for timeout, but I believe he stepped on the sidelines before he did. If we've got a view from the other end zone, this might show it if we have a view of it.
From the opposite baseline.
He had already stepped out before that. It was the time before that his left foot hit the floor. And I believe this is going to stand too.
Quick reset for you. Possession arrow favors the Eagles. Both teams with 1 timeout. Morehead State still 1 foul to give, Dean. That can be crucial, all dependent on how you play it, because you can also shoot yourself in the foot.
With just 17 seconds left, I'm not sure that it would be warranted to go ahead and have a couple of quick fouls just so you can get the other team in the bonus and stop the clock. I mean, you're still up 4 if you're Morehead State.
Review on the shorter side, and it will stay with Tennessee State. 2 turnovers after a made 3 by Tennessee State has made this what looked like an easy victory for the Eagles. Very interesting.
Jerome Morton and Weston got tangled up together, and
wow,
Morton took a little bit of shot in the head, but I don't know. He's asking. He says he got hit in the head, but to be honest, I think Jerome might have been lucky not to get a foul called on him. We'll see it here.
A
This will come
timeout,
right here.
a timeout was granted to Morehead's, or Tennessee State rather, so neither team with a timeout remaining.
I don't think there's much there. We saw that replay, and we might be able to see it one more time, but the officials aren't even going to look at it. So it's a moot point.
This one got interesting in a hurry.
Boy, it did, didn't it? You can see right here from our high camera, and they just got a little tangled up. Weston didn't throw an elbow, didn't swing, didn't do anything. It was, I think it was just he was just holding his hands up saying, you know, look, I'm not doing anything. And he just happened to catch Jerome Morton right in the face. So I'm very comfortable with a no call there.
It will be Tennessee State inbounding on their side of midcourt.
It's a two-possession game, so Tennessee State doesn't have to have a three, but whatever they get, they've got to get it quickly.
And Morehead State needs to get it up the court without just heaving it up the court or driving right into a double team.
Well, they have to take care of the basketball. You can't have another turnover.
Tennessee State, though, still with a pulse. Trailing by 4.
Tigers have shot the basketball so well in this half. You got to think that the first good shot they get, 2 or 3, it's going to go.
17 free throws attempted by Morehead State this half, just 2 for Tennessee State. And a slam for Tennessee State's Williams, and that gets the whole backboard rocking.
Kenny White Jr. just slipped down a little, just slipped to the floor, and there was nobody else on that side of the floor or anywhere close to come over from Morehead State.
And a foul
to come over to the help position. Kenny and Penny Collins over there asking for a hook and hold. We'll see. We may not have it. Well, this is the dunk.
It is going to be Newt Wood is the one the foul was originally called on.
Now the officials are going to the monitor again, and Penny Collins asked him to look and make sure that there wasn't a hook and hold there and drag him down.
Morehead State's made their last 3 field goals, 5 of 7.
We'll see it on the left-hand side of the screen.
For Tennessee State, that last 7, 5 of 7.
And it wasn't Rootsegger, it was Tyler Brailsford. And you see Wood, he was saying, hey, we have my arm, you grab my arm. And I know they have another different angle that we don't have with the replay system, but there again, I just don't know that there's enough to flip it.
And if it does flip, and somehow Tennessee State gets out of here with a victory,
things get interesting.
Yeah, I mean, this would be a monumental collapse here in these final 40, 50 seconds of game time. What a second half, though. 38-38 our second half score as we get one more look. That one, tough to tell really anything on that opposite side of our camera angle.
I just don't see, again, I don't see enough to flip the call. I certainly don't see enough to warrant calling a hook and hold.
Both teams taking care of the basketball today. 13 turnovers for Tennessee State. Morehead State just 9.
But it wasn't more than a minute of gameplay ago that they had 7. 2 big turnovers down the stretch in crunch time that, you know, for Morehead State fans, just hope that it won't be fatal.
2 free throws upcoming for Brailsford as the call remains the same. Foul will go on Newt Wood, redshirt sophomore from Alabama. The State did play at Alabama. Free throws, massive here for Brailsford, and coming into today at the line, Brailsford over 80%. Him and Rootsegger, the 2 best on the team. 5 players playing with 4 fouls. Big one there. This, though, makes it a 2 possession.
This is a huge one, too, because then it makes it a 3-pointer can't send you to overtime.
UT Martin and Morehead State went into overtime here on Thursday.
We've already had enough overtime this week.
Well, if you're Tennessee State, you're hoping for it right now because that gives you second life as it's now a 2-possession game. Tennessee State, not much time to work with, and a foul called.
Had a foul to give. Actually have another foul to give. And the reason you do that, obviously, is just waste more time.
And that's team 6, so there is no more fouls to give.
They hadn't put it to 6 up yet on the board.
Wood gets a quick inbound. Wood finds separation baseline. Well short on the jumper. And last off of Tennessee State's fingertips, that was Weston. Last to touch it. Not over just yet, though. Morehead State with the 4-point edge. Another offensive-defensive substitution. 2 of them.
Yep. Miles and White out. Rugseger and Brazil back in. Remember the last time we had this bunch in, there was a turnover.
Rugseger comes down with it like a wide receiver and is fouled with 1.7. And Morehead State, well, we thought they were home free for the victory earlier. Well, we better hold off because Tennessee State, what a job. They may not, it doesn't appear to be they'll come away with a victory, but man, they battled back in this final moments.
Well, they've had 2 straight nights on the road to start Ohio Valley Conference play where they just really battled and just going to come up a little short.
Rugseger
lost on basically a last-second shot Thursday at Southern Indiana and going to come up just a little shy today.
Morehead State lead out to 6. And Morehead State going to win this one. Morehead State back in action here at home against Alice Lloyd just before the new year. For Tennessee State, they will be back in action after